Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for another Halloween movie review. I just finished up my review of the 1991 film The Addams Family. Now I'm going to cover quickly Addams Family values. Now, uh, people, a lot of the actors reprised their roles for the second film, which came out 2 years after the first one, and still top-notch writing, but more particular Christina Ricci's character, Wednesday Addams, who in this, I guess like the writers and the director involved, like love Christina Ricci's performance, and critics, and to this day, a lot of viewers are so drawn to this character. She kind of took uh, well, not the complete center stage, but it's like there's like a B plot to this film that the focus is on her, and Pugsley seems like he was along for the ride, and it's kind of like a shame in a way. But I guess like because I like Pugsley, I think like aside from maybe like a TV show, there's really stuff that uh, that is really stuff that people are drawn to about Pugsley, aside from the dynamic duo he has with Wednesday. That's one of the few things that like I don't care for. It's kind of a nitpick because yes, I like Pugsley and Wednesday's dynamic, but I guess it's too much to ask to have you know you know maybe if there was like a third film installment, if things had worked out that way, maybe there would have been like a third film somewhere out in the multiverse where we see like Pugsley get like a love interest and like some kind of stories centered around him. But I still like the dynamic between these two actors playing off each other. Uh, but uh, this movie starts off with, because just the way it ends in the first film, Morticia is pregnant. Now they're in the delivery room. They deliver their third child, a son named Pubert, with like a full, mustache for some doggone reason, hair slicked back, everything, uh, and clearly in certain scenes, uh, uh, you can tell like they really try to make this kid pale with, you know, sometimes obvious makeup. Which reminds me, I don't think I brought it up in my review of the first film. There's certain shots in the first film. Uh, I think I brought it up. Certain shots where you see like Christina Ricci's uh, original colored hair peeking through the wig of the Wednesday Addams hair. Not all the time, but definitely like I think like the first real shot of her in the first film. But yeah, so now Wednesday and Pugsley are jealous. It's like when typical age when like new baby arrives. The focus is off the first two, or usually more in particular from what I've seen from like people with like siblings. If there's like three of them, the middle child is usually the overlooked one, but the previous two, aren't getting any attention. So they started hiring nannies to keep an eye on things, make sure when they're not around, things are you know corralled nicely, because these kids are attempting multiple attempts into often this kid, and it was like like I generally do not like watching stuff that involves hurting small children, or especially babies. I recall to that kind of stuff. But in here is kind of funny because it's a cartoonist Looney Tune way of this kid getting out of these scrapes. Uh, like one moment when they about to like do like a science experiment and toss, trying to see, you know, how far this baby can bounce when they try to toss a bowling ball and this kid over at the same time. And just when Gomez is opening up a window, he ended up miraculously catching this kid. And it's like, we all know the Addams family are into some kooky stuff. And, you know, uh, you see like in the first film that Wednesday electrocutes her own uh, brother with seemingly no negative effects that we see. So it's like being an Addams blood would like this necessarily be like a thing that would really injure this kid because half the time it doesn't seem that way. These crazy things that happen that befalls these people. So they decided to go through these nannies, each one dorkier than the last. And this kind of reminds me of an episode of South Park where Carmen's mom hires all these nannies, and each one Carmen's pretty much like sends them running. It's freaking hilarious. Like this one British nanny, uh, in particular, and he just like just messes her with her mind at the fact that she couldn't conceive kids. It was so doggone funny. And there's this British lady with this puppet, and it's like, would you clean your room? And Wednesday, and like, just the brilliance of this shot. She pulled out this devil puppet, and just like, I'll clean my room for your immortal soul. It's like I wish we would have gotten the reaction from this nanny, because I wanted to see like because these people cannot handle Wednesday and Pugsley, especially Wednesday. And it's like I just want to just like ironically, which also stars Christina Ricci, Casper, the '90s movie Casper, where like the place she's moving into is haunted by Casper's three uncles. Each one, they're supposed to be like representing different types of supernatural uh, 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 hunters, or like one is supposed to be kind of like a play on the Exorcist, and our priests, and people are supposed to be cleansing this house of evil spirits. Another one having Dan Aykroyd reprising his role as Ray from Ghostbusters, coming in trying to handle these three ghosts by himself and couldn't handle it. And it's like I kind of wish they got it, did something like that to each of these nannies, each one running away because these kids are so freaking disturbing. It's just like the whole entire thing is super funny until they meet up with this woman named Debbie, played by Joan Cusack. And if you recall Debbie, you recall her by the line of Malibu Barbie. If you hear that, you know of the reference. She, of course, is a Black Widow serial killer, and she finds out about Uncle Fester, his return back to the family, and the riches and stuff like that, because there's a bunch of magazines with his face on it, one being like, Forbes magazine. And it's like, I'm surprised that this is like a thing that Forbes and all these other magazines would be paying attention to, but whatever. So she comes in as another person from the nanny recruitment office, and tries to infiltrate. There's another infiltration kind of story like the first one. trying to infiltrate the family, gain their trust, and getting her hooks into uh, Uncle Fester, who for the most of the film, at least like the first part of the first act, hides and like super shy, and he's getting very smitten with this woman, who just easily like fit into their world because she's a serial killer. Uh, so she's not like turned off by a lot of their kooky antics. As soon as like Wednesday, you know, with like brilliant use of Wednesday, is like as like she's supposed to be watching this baby and she's going through all the stuff that Uncle Fester, you know, has uh stuff into, like bearer bonds and deeds and all this other stuff that that's worth a lot of money. And you see like Wednesday Addams like in total camo mode, hiding them in the against the wall. So she's already suspecting everything, which she kind of, which is looking back on it, very un Wednesday like, to the fact that she reveals her hand to this woman, like like I'm on to you kind of attitude, and she should just went straight to her parents and with this kind of stuff, but uh, because uh, Debbie's like don't want to be found out, she tricks the parents into sending Wednesday and Pugsley to the summer camp just to get them out of her hair while she's trying to do her thing. And this one gets like like really like get not super close, but like close enough to nearly trying to break Wednesday and Pugsley, because these super like disturbingly cheery camp counselors, uh, 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 played by Peter McNichol and Christina Baranski. And if you remember her, she's in Bad Moms 2, which I reviewed for Mother's Day earlier this year, which you can check out on the channel. Hit that like button and notification bell. Follow the links in the description if you want to check out that review. But these, people are like creepy, and like this, girl who showed up in like a bit part in the first movie as the Girl Scout. Oh, and I forgot to mention about this when I was reviewing the first film, because it was super freaking funny, because they get they give Wednesday the best lines, man, and because they're trying to gain, after they lose a house in the first movie, they're trying to work their way into trying to eke out a living by finding like odd jobs or whichever way to make money. They trying to do like this faux lemonade stand, but it's pretty much selling them poison. And it's just one little lemonade, I mean one little lemon fruit on the table. And this Girl Scout, played by the same girl, uh, 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 Amanda Buckman, she asked like, "Are those made out of real lemons? I'll trade you a drink for one of my Girl Scout cookies." And Wednesday asked, "Are they made out of real Girl Scouts?" It was like, God, that was like a great comeback. That was brilliantly put in, because I just want to. I wish I could say it to a Girl Scout, because I can't. That would be freaking disturbing and weird, and I'll probably get arrested for that. But just like are these Girl Scouts cookies made out of real Girl Scouts? That is freaking brilliant, man. But she make a return, and these two, it's like a perfect enemy to Wednesday Addams. Uh, it's kind of like Bugs Bunny and Emma Fudd, and like Wednesday like Bugs Bunny cute, one upping this chick. And during this camp session where they, uh, pair people up, one being like a drowning victim, and the other person goes in to save them. I guess like a trust exercise kind of situation. And Amanda and Wednesday gets paired up, and of course, Wednesday and Pugsley got to be the odd ones out because they still dress all in black swimsuits. But these camp counselors are kind of like assholes because despite their little teary nature, they really do not like the kind of outsiders kind of thing. Like these scrawny kids. There's one kid in a wheelchair. This kind of frumpy girl. Just these kind of various different people. One Asian and one scrawny black kid. It's like all these people, and a couple of people obviously with different ethnic backgrounds that with names they probably cannot or will not try to pronounce. They all get put to the side. They get benched to make room for these perfect, kids. Majority of them perfect white kids. Uh, and Amanda, plays because she wants to, like, I want to be an actress. Uh, and then and she volunteers, like, I'll be the victim. And comes a hot take from Wednesday. Is like, she's like, like when she says, like, I'll be the victim all your life. It's like, God, that was so good. It's like, that's like brilliant writing. It's just like, and like, do quick with it. And it's like, God, I wish I was that quick with it in real life. Just like you get those snappy comebacks. It irks me that I can't. It's kind of like with Ryan Reynolds. It's like somebody like skilled as him with like wordplay and so witty that no matter what you throw at him, he's always got like a snappy thing ready to fire. No matter what situation you put him in, he got something. And it is like a comedian usually has something like that too. And it's like, and it's always bugs me that half of the time I can't do like a good uh uh get back like that right away. And it's always after the fact that I come up with something like, oh man, I could have said that. Dang it, why I think about it now, I couldn't think about it then. But it's like, dang, that was good. That was really done. And then as soon as she goes in the water, it's like, help me, help me. And it's like, I can't swim. It's like, you just leave her. And I gotta give it to Amanda because she committed the hell to the bit because she just stays there and just pretending to drown. And the bubbles bubbling up. I was like, okay, seriously though, somebody need to go in there and get the chick before she drowns. I was like, God, she's just like, oh my God, I love Wednesday. It was like I prefer to have a son, but if I have a daughter, like, needs to be like a Wednesday type because, like, God, I love this little girl. Oh my God. But this B plot with Wednesday and Pugsley, along with this seemingly love interest of Joe Gleeker, played by David Krumholtz. You remember as one of the best friends in Harold and Kumar Goes to White Castle. Uh, uh, he's like just like a nerdy bookworm. He doesn't want to participate in most stuff. He just want to like just read his books and be left alone. And of course, they're not like feeling that, so they get put in this little hut thing where they are forced to watch all these well, not bad movies, but it's just like these super cheery, happy things just to kind of like break kids that are not conforming to what these counselors feel like ideal, perfect, white picket fence type of, people. And they're watching things like what was it? Like Bambi, Lassie Comes Home, The Little Mermaid, Sound of Music, The Brady Bunch, and Annie. And it's like, uh, all because these kids didn't want to like participate in this Thanksgiving play, but Wednesday comes up with an idea because their attempts to escape this camp keep failing, but they decided like, okay, well, feign, uh, fake like, oh, you broke us, and Wednesday gives this super creepy smile, like, and it's like disturbing to see Wednesday just do this like complete shift, but obviously it was all an act. While leading up to the actual uh, uh, conduction of this play, and everything seems like it's going to according to plan until Wednesday start changing up the script and like because she's playing like Native Americans, she uh uh uh, 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 Joel and the other uh, outsider type of kids are playing the roles of the Native Americans, and she's just like stands in front. It's like, you took our lands, as you know, you know, uh, as per our right, we'll begin to scalp you. It's like she goes on this dialogue about like like you gave us like casinos and reservations and this and the other, and you got like khakis and pagers and all this other stuff. So they decide to like start causing this chaos and setting fire to this camp, and like the camp counselors are being roasted on a spit. Not actually getting like set on fire, but you see like they're, seemingly, looking like they're slowly getting roasted. And like, of course, Amanda looks like she's getting like uh, uh, what do you call it? Uh, uh, you know, uh, Being burned at the stake. But it's like they cut away when Wednesday's look like she's lighting the match, and you don't see her actually setting her on fire, but it's just obviously she's not, dead or suffering kind of burns. Maybe she is, but just not like severe. But you see her towards the end of the film on the plane ride, seemingly home. I thought this is probably the same. Uh, they live in the same city or state as the Addams family, but they're on like a plane ride somewhere, maybe on vacation. I'm not sure, but they're okay, given the fact that they went through some kind of weird ordeal at this camp. Uh, but all that has been resolved, so they're making their way back home to save Uncle Fester from this Black Widow. But back to A plot with Deb marrying Uncle Fester and trying to kill him, like like toss like a boombox radio if you're not old enough to understand what a boombox is, and try to electrocute him while he's taking a bath, and and sending him a box of dynamite set on a timer to explode. None of this stuff is killing him, and she eventually just like gives up and is like, fine, I'm gonna just pull out this big ass freaking gun straight out of like a freaking action movie, and just gonna just straight up shoot you. But it's like these things that seemingly they're supposed to do some actual damage, but they don't. But then you do something like this where it's like, okay, things are serious now. She actually pulling like a gun and about to blow his head off, and it's like you know, it's like they pick and choosing with this Looney Tune logic, and it works for the most part. But it's like I personally would kind of want to stick to it to some extent, because it's like if throwing like a boom box still powered up into a tub full of water where he's laying at did not kill him, then like what's a bullet going to do? It's probably going to all zip by him, and it completely missed by some sheer miracle. Because this family somehow are just like, just impervious. Maybe not impervious, but it's like get through all these weird scrapes, that should kill normally everybody. But thing comes to rescue Uncle Fester. They go head back to the house, and all the families reconciling because they feel like they lost Uncle Fester. But Debbie follows them back, holds them at gunpoint, straps all the family down to electric execution table. But then, like, as they're listening to Deb's little sob story of her life and how she was like, uh, her materialistic needs was, not at any point never met, even if it's just one thing, she goes freaking nuts and kills uh, the person involved, saying like the world is against her kind of thing. But the baby, through these weird cartoonish machinations, ends up in the room, and as Debs flipped the switch, the baby mixed up the wires and somehow just divert his way back to Debbie and electrocutes her into a pile of dust. And kind of showcasing that despite the things that they like and all these antics, the one thing they would not abide by is like the breaking up this family in some way, shape, or form, and you know, their the families, if they had any kind of like a superpower or some kind of entity that would seek out vengeance on those who's trying to break up this family, just like the people involved in the first film, they end up in like a, you know, similarly buried alive. And this one, Deb is turned to a pile of ash, and it's like, this kind of foreseen force kind of tips fate in a way to like neutralize any threat towards the family, which I don't know why they kind of like. It is how I view things, but if this something, it's not like a real entity, but I'm just saying like it's like the universe kind of bends to the Addams family will to like neutralize a threat to the family as a whole. But any other thing is usually like won't mess with a person. Like Amanda won't necessarily get that level of hurt the same way as Deb would, because she wasn't out to break up this family. But so her comeuppance is light by comparison. But so Cousin Anne's wife introduces their nanny to the family the following Halloween, and she looks like a female Uncle Fester uh, named Dementia, but it's kind of like a thing in certain cartoonist stuff, like the same way with like Donald Duck and Daisy. You just give Donald Duck a female outfit and a bow, a pink bow on top of her head, and oh boom, is a girl now. That kind of thing. And you pretty much just like put Uncle Fester, like a shaved woman in like a dress in a style of an Uncle Fester kind of robe, and it kind of felt like rushed. It's obviously clearly like quickly tying up in a nice bow for Uncle Fester's life. And it's like, I don't know. That's where it kind of fell kind of flat for me in this film, to where it's like, yeah, sure, you gotta have like, because that's what Uncle Fester wanted. As he expressed to Gomez earlier in the film, like I, also want like a family. I want what you have, like wife and kids and stuff like that. And of course, he's always been like shy and, well, here's the thing, he's been playing shy and awkward around Deb, but according to Gomez in the previous film, he always had this kind of skill with the ladies that we don't see play out like that here. He has to be taught by his younger brother how to woo women, or at least this particular woman he's interested in. And it's like, where's that, suave, kind of attitude of Uncle Fester that we've been told about that seemingly does not play here? And maybe it's because, like, it came more naturally to Gomez, whereas a young Uncle Fester probably had to work at it a little bit more, but he still got it. It's kind of like, two brothers that can both get women, but through different avenues. Like, one's probably not as uh, good looking as the other brother, but can pull girls because he's like, got, a good with words and or make a girl laugh, while the other kind of uses charm and like, good looks to get a girl slightly faster, but still, maybe that I imagine that was the dynamic in their youth from what's been told from the first film. Here it's like, okay, that's kind of out the window. And dementia, I feel, would have played better for me if she would have been introduced into the film maybe part way, or somewhat earlier in the film, where like Dev wants to get her hooks into Uncle Fester, but has to fight over him with this girl who actually likes him for him. I think that would have played more, and then she would have been the one to like stop Deb towards the end. And then, like, the happy ever after with Uncle Fester would have played a little bit better for me personally. Not like it does. It is not like it ruins the movie because it didn't do it something like that. But I'm just seeing that, and it's like, wow, that did seem like kind of rushed just to give him a happy ending, and it would have played better if she would have came in earlier in the film. But then the whole thing with Wednesday and what's like, I'm pretty sure it's Joel, right? Yeah, Joel. Towards the end, and he's dressed up like her Gomez, and like obviously she's not into like having like some kind of relationship, especially at this kind of age. Well, she's obviously growing older, and like that interest in boys is there because there's been moments where she shared a kiss with this guy, and uh, was sitting on the bench, leaning in closer to him, and it's like I kind of like that because despite Wednesday's attitude, she still has feelings. It's kind of warped, but she still has it, and still had those kind of needs as the female for the female's persuasion. She still has those kind of feelings and wants, but she's kind of compartmentalizing them. Uh, but in the end, she's like, nah, not for me. And she talking about how like Dev's mistake is, you know, the way Dev going about killing her husband was the wrong way. I would have scared him to death. And this stupid kid, for some reason, tried to like, because they buried Deb in like in a grave on the family plot, and he's trying to lay flowers at the thing, and then a hand pops up and choking this kid, and the movie ends with Wednesday smiling, and that was disturbing. It's still disturbing to me because like this one was a pile of ash where this hand comes from, because definitely not a thing because it's a female hand, but uh, it's just like, okay, I'm not saying it didn't play well. It's like a nice little, yeah. It has to end on like a very hilariously macabre way. But it's just like, why do you feel for a woman that is like a serial killer, and you laying flowers at the bed, setting yourself up for a thing like this? Uh, but anyway, I still like the first one a little bit better than this one. I think when I was younger, or in my like I was like early to mid teens, I wasn't feeling certain of the moments in this movie because like the only reason I probably will watch Addams Family Values if I'm watching it back to back from the first one, because like just by itself, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. There's certain movies that has like sequels that doesn't feel right just watching them solo usually, because there's one of those movies where it's like not bad, but it's kind of like fit nicely into like this long narrative if you're watching it back to back from the first one. Uh, but it does play better for me as I got older. Uh, so things typically change for you when you're younger. Certain things in movies that doesn't play well with you back then, you end up changing your mind later on in your life as you were watching them and better understanding certain shots and nuances that you probably got you overlooked as a kid. But anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of Addams Family Values. Hit that like button and notification bell. Share this with your friends. And I will see you guys in a little bit. I got one more movie that I want to quickly cover for you guys. Uh, uh, just a slight spoiler. It's an Adam Sandler film, but still fits into the Halloween thing for this month. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da.